It's early and we're doing a review of the 2025 Camry before the sun comes up. I'm gonna tell you what the lighting's like, what it's like to drive at night, and some 0 to 60s too because the roads are fairly empty. Let's get into it. All right, we have the XSE here, and the XSE as well as the XLE have optional, or should I say the upgraded headlights as well as daytime running lights. So these amber lights, these boomerang style with the hammerhead design kind of built into them, they are exclusive to the upper grades. The lower grades, the LE and the SE, do not get these fancier headlights here. Now, not only that, we have a dual LED setup right here. So one on top for your low beams and then one on the bottom for your high beams. They are pretty bright, but wait for my impressions on darker roads before I can tell you exactly what it's like. Now below that are these accessory lights. I'll put up on the screen what the price is on those accessory lights. I mean, they're on even during the middle of the day. Let's say you're driving during the day and the low beams are off. These amber turn signals, a bright white LED, and they're insanely bright. But when you turn on the turn signal, they turn back to amber. It's a pretty elaborate front end, even for a Camry. And the cool thing is you don't have to pay too much money for it. If you get the base XSE or the base XLE without all the additional options, you can get it for, I want to say 34, 35K with these really fancy headlights. You turn on the turn indicators, we do have a very bright side indicator on the mirror, which is going to be helpful for people to see you at night. And on the XLE and XSE, it's fully LED back here. I'll go ahead and play some B-roll of the turn indicators turning on. I mean, they're pretty bright, but the brake lights seem to be pretty bright as well. Obviously, I can't see with the naked eye the brake lights because I'm hitting the brake pedal, but I'll go ahead and pull up some of that GoPro footage for you guys as well. But I wanted to give you guys a quick look on the inside. I've been driving my kids around. Took them to the Pokemon store yesterday in here, and they had a good time. We got the panel roof here, which is only, I believe, available on the two higher trim levels, XLE and XSE, and an additional package. But we have ambient lighting coming down from those map lights right over there, really brightening the interior, as well as a light by the mirror, the rear view mirror. We also have a small light, I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up, a small light for the window, which by the way is fully automatic. That one's not double paned, that window. This window is double paned, and it's a very impressive door heft to it, very luxurious. All right, so in the side here, door handle illumination, of course we have window switch illumination. No illuminated door sills. I don't even know if that's an option. But let's go ahead and sit on the inside. This one has obviously the black and blue interior instead of that really bright red, which again, that red is going to be up to you if you want. To me, I prefer the more subdued blue and black interior. There is some ambient lighting right here on the dash. If I bring in a ton of light here, pump the ISO, you can see this really faint light here, and it's up to its full brightness. You can also see the light down in the footwells here. It's quite obvious on the the sport pedals down here. The USB-Cs are illuminated up front, but they're not illuminated in the back, just double checking. All right, all these buttons here, your driving modes, your auto brake hold, they're all illuminated too. Coming up to the climate control, all super easy to read. It's all kind of like, I wouldn't call it blue. I've been in a lot of fairly recent Toyotas. Let's say I want to say the Corolla Cross, for example, and everything, and even the Corollas, all the interior colors are like a bright blue. This is kind of more of like a faint white, maybe even a tinge of yellow, and it's really pleasing to the eye compared to previous Toyotas. So well done, Toyota, here. Making your accent lighting very neutral, even though it's not really customizable on the dash especially. All right, heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel. This isn't going to be my full daytime review where I'd cover more of that stuff. Definitely check that out. Traffic jam assist, as well as reads your eyeballs and records you. I absolutely despise that in more expensive Toyota and Lexus models that have this eye sensor. All right, 12-inch screen looks fantastic at night. It probably looks more like that to the naked eye. It's not as bright as I was making it look on the camera. And here's a 12-inch screen, which I'm doing wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. My phone's charging down there. You see that amber light behind the shifter lets us know that the phone is charging, I believe. And then of course you have that indicator in the top left. Oh, it is not charging. And that's the problem I have with Toyota chargers. They're super unreliable when it comes to the wireless charging. And I have a Pixel 8 and I just have a terrible time. My wife's iPhone never really seems to have issues wireless charging. So if you're an iPhone person, you're probably gonna have a lot better luck. All right, head-up display. Yeah, we do have a head-up display here. Let's see if we can focus on it as best as we can. The head-up display is pretty good. I don't have any of that two-tone effect. It sits really high off the hood. It's clean, it's clear. I don't believe it gives me turn by turn when I pull up an address here on Google Maps. So that is a bit unfortunate, but again, I'll have to test it a little bit more. But I'm ready to start driving the Camry here at night and maybe give you guys some 0 to 60s. A few of you have been asking for that. The whole time I was doing that recording, the car's been on. You know, AC does work really well in here, almost too well when it's not super hot, that I have to turn the AC off, even though it's 80 degrees here at night. So, all right, let's get into driving the new Camry at night. The XSE has a stiffer suspension. I also didn't mention this has optional wheels. These are not the normal wheels that come with an XSE. They are an additional cost. They look pretty cool, and it's going to make your Camry definitely stand apart, just like those fancy, you know, running lights that are optional as well. But the Sport Tune suspension with these big wheels, I want to say we're on 18 or 19-inch wheels. I mean, again, this is not my full review. I pretty much just got this in last night and I'm taking it out for a spin. But regardless, I can already tell you that these big wheels with this Sport Tune suspension, it is pretty firm in here. It's not going to be a soft, super cushy luxury ride, but it's still, I would say, more than acceptable. It's not overly stiff by any means, all right? So one of you asked to do the 0 to 60 without torque braking. So we're going to do that. We'll put it into sport mode. I like the animation that pulls up here, and we're just going to hammer it. And I do have all-wheel drive on this model. It's going to kill my fuel economy. Okay, that was 0 to 60 in 8.33. 8.33, 0 to 60. No torque brake. Remember, all-wheel drive, which gives you better grip. The brake pedal here, I really like it. My opinion has not changed on it from the media drive. All right, now we're gonna torque brake. I have about half battery. Torque brake. Definitely a better launch. Wow. Wow. Okay, so 0 to 60 there, 7.25, 7.25, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.67. If the battery was fully topped off, then maybe it could get closer down to 7 seconds. And if I was in front wheel drive, I could probably get closer to 7 seconds, right? Because that electric motor in the back adds weight in here. But 7.25, I mean, it felt a lot faster than the first time around. So there you go. It's at best 7 second car at best. All right, and that's, you have to torque brake it to get there. Otherwise, it's about an 8-second 0 to 60 car. So I'll put the drag meter down, and we'll talk about if I can find a place for it. Ooh, the moon. I don't know if the moon's going to show up on the GoPro, but it's just a slip, a little crescent next to a planet. That might be Jupiter or Mars. It's really pretty. Anyways, that's a great thing about driving at night. Most of the time I don't do it, so I get to appreciate new things. All right, so the low beams are on right now and they seem super bright. And I don't believe I have, as I turn the steering wheel, I don't think I have adaptive front lighting here. Man, the steering is really sharp for a Camry. I can feel the weight transfer really well in here. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed with the Camry's steering response, the braking response. Yes, I could use more horsepower in an XSE. I understand a lot of you guys there, and I feel your pain. It would have been great to have what the Crown has with 340 horsepower, right, with the turbo hybrid. But this is simpler. It's going to get really good fuel economy. Again, the jury's still out on that with my sort of driving that I do. But these lights on low beams are really good, really widespread. What if I put the high beams on? Honestly, well, I mean, I have street lights here, so that's gonna mitigate some things, but the auto high beams just kicked on. I can see maybe 15 feet up into the trees. I can see over the this fence to the right of me. I think a lot of you are going to be impressed by the lighting here. And what it does really well, I would say, even with the brights on, is that it illuminates quite heavily, maybe the first 100 feet in front of you. I see the ground almost like it's daytime. So it sprays the light down onto the ground really, really well. And then your brights are going to give you that additional height after about 100 feet that the low beams provide. So there you have it with my take on the headlights. I would say they're pretty darn good overall. And pretty uniform too. I have maybe at like 11 o'clock, I have a little a lack of full light hitting that area. Doesn't mean I can't see the area, it's not as uniform as the other lights. So there you go. Coasting to the stop here, just you know, the engine turned off. I mean, more than ever, it's harder to tell if the engine's on or off on the new Camry. With mild, if you're just trying to get pretty good fuel economy, I mean, pedal down, you're gonna know, right? But that response is so good, and that's why I love Toyota hybrids so much, possibly more than Honda hybrids. A Honda will beat it 0 to 60 because it drives more like an electric car. But where Toyotas really succeed is their responsiveness. You put the pedal down even in normal mode, and it just goes. You're not hardly waiting for anything. Yes, the engine revs have to climb a little bit, but you get an initial response from the electric motor first, and then the gasoline chips in just a half second later. So very impressed with the responsiveness here on the 5th generation 2.5 liter hybrid. And as of this recording, it is still the only 5th generation 2.5 liter hybrid setup in Toyota's lineup. Yesterday I made a video talking about how this 2.5 liter will eventually be replaced by a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo. When that will occur is anyone's guess, but Toyota really wants to do it so they can you know, achieve Euro 7 regulations. Is that the other Camry? Guys, what are the chances? I was talking about getting those lights to stand out. There's a brand new 2025 Camry with the same accent lighting underneath the high beams there. That's got to be an XSE. I've seen it before. I want to say it's the red color. We have the reservoir blue, I want to say. Oh my gosh, what are the chances? Yeah, it's red. I've seen that one before at nighttime. I think he didn't have the really fancy wheels that I have, so at least I can feel a little bit better about myself. But hey, kudos to that guy having an absolutely stellar vehicle. The new Camry is fantastic. All right, and again, wait for my full review. Now at nighttime, if you're a hypermiler nerd, you can do some pretty cool stuff. So I have just accelerated 242 miles an hour and the engine hasn't kicked on. The battery's gone from about, I don't know. Oh, the engine finally kicked on. So the battery went all the way down to 3 bars before it kicked on. I think it started at like 6 bars. I think there are 8 bars total. So it went down to 3 bars before the engine kicked on. So I got up to 42 miles an hour, no gasoline. And I don't remember being able to do that in any Toyota hybrid that wasn't a prime or like a plug-in hybrid. the Camry hybrid has a lithium-ion hybrid battery. We have new electric motors up front that are smaller, more efficient, more torque, more power. So like the whole system is definitely a big jump in smoothness and refinement. And Toyota, yeah, crushed it, absolutely crushed it there. And you know, I'll talk more about this during my driving review, but the engine, more so than in previous generations of Toyota vehicles or Toyota hybrid systems, it really likes to act as a generator. So vehicles that perform, I mean, it performs more like Hyundai's system and even Honda's system when you're just cruising. The engine will run for a while to charge the battery, as well as assist with, of course, propulsion, and then it just likes to shut off, and you're just coasting on electric only. And then the engine will kick back on. So in terms of coasting, it acts a lot more like Honda or Hyundai's, which I think the reason it's able to do that is that with this modern hybrid system, it can run on fully electric at much higher speeds. Previous generations, like for example my 3rd gen Prius, it can only run on electric at like 0 to 45 miles an hour. Above that, the engine's always on. That's not so much the case here. I was cruising around 50 miles per hour in the Camry, and it shut the engine down. I was just cruising on fully electric. All right, so yeah, it's definitely a more sophisticated and fun to drive system than ever before. And it's still pretty smooth here, even with these big wheels and sport tune suspension. And this road is notorious for having a little bit of like really small vibrations. It's not perfectly smooth, but it's definitely not potholes that you guys have in the Midwest or California, for example, or the Northeast. I mean, this is a pretty good road. And it is, I still feel those bumps coming through, and I feel like if you get the LE or the XLE, it's really going to give you that more Lexus ride. I would compare this in some ways to the ES F Sport with the suspension setting on the firm end in like sport mode, for example, because it has adaptive suspension. Actually, there is an F Sport non-handling on the ES, if I remember correctly, too. And this feels firmer than that. So it's definitely on the firmer end for a Camry and for a Lexus ES. And that might be another video I'll have for you guys, is like, you know, how close does this get to Lexus? Like, now that I'm spending more time in here, I'm able to pick out some differences, and I might have to save that for another video. But yeah, Camry's fantastic. Even after doing some 0 to 60s there, I mean, I'm just coasting. I'm getting about 38 miles per gallon after 0 to 60s, which is not terrible. And I think where this one's going to land, without filling up, just my estimations, I think I'm going to get it to land in the low 40s. Not as good as I want, but this trim level's it's not conducive for maximizing MPGs. That's going to be the LE, absolutely, with the smallest wheels and the lightest equipment, right? It doesn't have all the fancy gadgets and gizmos in it. So that's going to be the best if fuel economy is your only concern and price is your only concern, and it's still a fantastic experience. Watch my LE driving impressions. That's the pick of the bunch for people who don't really care too much about what they look like or care too much about the technology, and they just want a super reliable, super efficient, and really nice driving vehicle, and that's the LE. So anyways, I got to shut it down there. Thank you guys for watching. Still very impressed with the Camry now that I have it for a week, and I'll probably have at least 2 more videos on the Camry. I plan on doing, like I said, maybe a Lexus comparison. I'll do a highway driving and fuel economy test, as well as NVH, and I will do a normal review as well. So, and maybe even compare. I got a Nissan Ariya this week, so maybe I'll do a video comparing, hey, should you get an electric car? Should you get a hybrid? What are the pros and cons of each? That's a possibility as well. So like, I could just crank out like 4 or 5 Camry videos if I really wanted to this week. So I got to shut myself down. This is the first of many Camry videos coming for the new 2025 redesign. And yes, it's pretty much as good as I remember it. So, all right, I'll catch you in the comments and in the next one. If you enjoyed it or made it this far, hit the like button, subscribe for more Toyota updates and other auto news coming down the channel. Thank you guys. Peace.